The classroom buzzed with the usual noise of kids settling in for the day. Backpacks thumped on the floor, chairs scraped softly, and quiet whispers floated between friends. It was just another regular morning at Willow Creek Middle School, but for some, the day was about to take a sharp turn. Emily sat near the middle of the room, surrounded by a few friends who laughed a little too loud at her jokes. She was one of the most popular girls in school, confident, bold, and not afraid to speak her mind. Sometimes that confidence slipped into meanness, especially when she found someone who looked different or didn't fit in. Today, her attention was on Jake. Jake was quiet, the kind of kid who kept his head down and stayed to himself. He wore faded jeans and a plain hoodie, but what stood out most were his shoes, old, scuffed, and patched up in places. They looked like they had been through a lot, and compared to the new sneakers most kids wore, they made Jake an easy target. Emily's voice cut through the chatter, sharp and clear. "Hey Jake, did your shoes fall out of a dumpster or something?" she sneered, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Some kids snickered, while others just stared. Jake's face flushed red, and he looked away, clutching his backpack tighter. The room grew quiet, filled with an awkward mix of discomfort and curiosity. No one knew how Jake would respond, but all eyes were on him now. Emily didn't stop after the first jab. She smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was sharp, like she was enjoying making someone else feel small. "Seriously, Jake," she said, her voice loud enough to carry across the room. "How do you even walk in those things? They're so old, they probably have holes in the soles. Do your feet even stay dry when it rains?" Some kids nearby laughed, their giggles filling the space with a mean-spirited energy. Jake didn't answer. He stared down at his shoes, the scuffed brown leather looking even worse under the bright classroom lights. He felt heat rising in his cheeks, a mix of embarrassment and something heavier, hurt. He tried to shrink into his seat, hoping Emily would get bored and move on, but she didn't. Instead, she leaned a little closer, her eyes cold. "What's up with your family anyway? Bet you don't get new stuff 'cause no one has the money. Guess that's why you look like you're stuck in last year's clothes." The words stung. Jake's fingers curled tightly around the edge of his desk. Some kids shifted uncomfortably in their seats. A few looked down at their own shoes or fiddled with their notebooks, pretending not to listen. One or two even glanced at Jake with worried eyes, but said nothing. Emily's friends snickered, egging her on. "Yeah, Jake, do you even get to eat breakfast every day, or is that too much to ask?" Jake's heart pounded, and a tight lump formed in his throat. It wasn't just about the shoes anymore, it was the way Emily made him feel invisible and worthless all at once. The whole classroom seemed to shrink around him, like he was the only person in the room, but also the most exposed. No one came to his defense. No one said stop. The silence was louder than the laughter, and Jake sat there, alone in a crowd, feeling the weight of every cruel word. Emily opened her mouth, ready to say something even crueler, but before the words left her lips, Jake slowly reached into his backpack. His hands trembled just a little, as he pulled out something folded and worn. It was a small photo, creased at the edges and faded from years of being carried around. He held it up carefully, his eyes steady now, though his voice was soft when he spoke. "Look at this," he said quietly. The classroom went silent. Emily and the other students stopped laughing, their eyes fixed on the photo in Jake's hands. No one had expected this. Some leaned forward, curious. Others exchanged confused glances. What could this photo possibly show that made Jake speak up now? Emily's confident smile disappeared. Her friends stopped snickering. The energy in the room shifted from amusement to something heavier, an uncomfortable mix of curiosity and caution. Jake unfolded the photo carefully, revealing an image of him and a woman standing close together. The woman smiled warmly, but her eyes looked tired. She wore old clothes, but the photo captured a moment full of love and quiet strength. For a moment no one said a word. The classroom felt still, as if everyone was waiting for Jake to say more. Emily's eyes narrowed slightly, trying to hide the flicker of doubt and surprise in her expression. The other kids whispered quietly, wondering what this could mean. Jake didn't rush. He looked around at the faces watching him, some filled with confusion, some with pity. Then he gently folded the photo back up and held it close. The room was quiet now, the kind of silence that makes you lean in, waiting for the next word, the next truth to come out. The photo Jake held was more than just a picture. It was a window into a story no one in that classroom knew, a story of love, loss, and quiet courage. In the faded image, Jake stood next to a woman with gentle eyes and a tired smile. She was his mother. Her hair was streaked with gray, and her hands looked worn from years of hard work. But in that moment, her smile was full of warmth, the kind of love that wraps around you like a soft blanket on a cold night. Jake carefully turned the photo over. On the back, written in shaky handwriting, was a small note. He read it aloud, his voice steady but soft. For Jake, keep these shoes safe. They may be old, but they carry my love everywhere you go. I wish I could buy you new ones, but this is all I can give. Remember, no matter what, you are never alone. The room was still. Emily's eyes flickered, the teasing gone now, replaced by something unfamiliar, maybe regret or sadness. Jake's voice cracked just a little, as he continued. My mom gave me these shoes before she passed away. She worked 2 jobs to take care of me, and make sure I had food, clothes, and a place to sleep. These shoes are the last thing she gave me. He paused, looking down at his worn-out shoes. I don't have new shoes, because we don't have the money. But these shoes remind me of her every day. They're more than just shoes, they're love and memories. The classmates' faces softened. Some looked at their own shoes in a new way, realizing they had never thought about the stories behind them. Emily's mouth opened slightly, like she wanted to say something but wasn't sure what. Jake's story hung in the air, heavier than any words Emily had said before. It was a story of pain no one had seen, but that he carried quietly inside him. The classroom wasn't loud anymore. Instead, it was filled with a deep respect, a feeling that what had seemed like a simple act of teasing was actually a wound nobody had understood until now. Emily's eyes met Jake's, and for the first time, she saw him, not as an easy target, but as a person with a story full of courage she hadn't known. The power in his silence was stronger than any joke or insult. Some students wiped away small tears. Others sat quietly, reflecting on how they had treated Jake or anyone else who seemed different. In that moment, the old shoes weren't just shoes anymore. They were a symbol of love, loss, and the strength to keep going, even when life isn't fair. The moment the story settled in the room, Emily's face changed. The teasing smirk disappeared, replaced by a look of shame she couldn't hide. Her eyes dropped to the floor, and for the first time she seemed small, like the confident girl everyone knew had disappeared. Slowly she stood up. The classroom went silent again, waiting. Emily's voice was soft but clear when she spoke. Jake, I'm sorry, I didn't know, she paused, searching for the right words. I shouldn't have made fun of your shoes, or your family. It wasn't fair, and I was wrong. Some of Emily's friends exchanged surprised looks, but then a few nodded quietly, as if Emily's apology gave them permission to rethink their own behavior. One by one, a few classmates spoke up too. Me too, said a girl in the back, her voice shaking a little. I didn't mean to laugh. I guess I didn't think about what it might be like. Others murmured their agreement, the room filling with a new kind of warmth, one born from understanding. Jake looked up, surprised but calm. He gave a small smile, the kind that showed real strength and grace. Thanks, he said simply. It means a lot. There was no anger in him, no bitterness. Just quiet forgiveness, the kind that can heal wounds deeper than words. The teacher, who had been watching quietly, nodded approvingly. What we learned today is important, she said gently. Kindness can change everything. And understanding someone's story can change how we treat each other. Emily looked around at her classmates, her eyes shining with something new, empathy. She reached out and gave Jake a small hesitant smile. I want to be better, she said. The classroom was different now. The laughter wasn't cruel, but light and hopeful. The teasing had been replaced by something stronger, respect. Sometimes it only takes one moment, one story, to open people's hearts. And in that moment, a lesson was learned that no one would forget. That day in the classroom, something important happened. A simple pair of old shoes became a reminder that people are more than what we see on the surface. It showed everyone that judging someone by what they wear, or by what they have or don't have, can hide the real stories behind their smiles and struggles. Emily learned, just like the rest of the class, that kindness and understanding are stronger than teasing and cruelty. When someone takes the time to listen, to see the person behind the surface, it can change everything. Jake's story wasn't just about shoes or a photo, it was about love, loss, and quiet courage that doesn't always show on the outside. And when he shared it, he reminded everyone that we all carry our own battles, ones that might not be easy to see. Sometimes it takes just one moment, one chance to speak up, or listen carefully, to change a heart, or even a whole classroom. So, the next time someone seems different, or wears something old or worn, remember Jake's story. What might you learn if you looked a little closer? How might your kindness make a difference? Because in the end, it's not the shoes we wear that matter most, it's the hearts we choose to see.